Alright, just received the waterway for this, so that's going to be the next part. As I said, I wanted to fix up the loop. So I got this, and this goes, I think the lighting might be not so great here, but hang on, I'll get this torch here. It goes where that side radiator slash intake would normally go. And I'm not using that anyway, as you can see, so I thought this would make the runs look a bit nicer, because I'm going to be using this. I'm not going to put this in today though, because it's hot out here and I don't want to spend all day in the heat doing this. I'd rather wait for it to be a bit cooler. So I'm just going to put this in and just shove some soft tubing in just to get it running, because I kind of need this computer. Like I said, it is the daily, so I don't really like it, you know, being offline for too long. But yeah, this is going to be quite nice. Comes with this pump as well. I've used these pumps in the past, just the Bykski 17 watt DDC pump, and nothing more to really say about that. I'm just gonna get it installed and show you what it looks like, I guess. There it is, that's what it looks like. Definitely gonna have to rethink. Well, I was gonna redo the wiring anyway, but yeah, definitely obviously I don't want wires floating around the back, because it is see-through and that looks just terrible. But as far as installation goes, it's nothing too complicated, just 6 screws at the back. Just basically like installing a radiator or fan or anything, same kind of deal. Also, because it is in the radiator slot mounting, you can move this up and down, you know, if you need different height. And it also comes with oh, the O-ring's coming out of it. It also comes with this, so you can you know, raise this up if you need to, for your, you know, to make it line up for your CPU block. Obviously mine, it's, you know, it's got them, you know, horizontal, not vertical, so obviously it was more planned that you would have a you know, a vertical block of sorts, but that's okay. I mean, normally I guess you would mount this probably a bit higher. I haven't actually decided on where it's going. I basically just placed it there and went, yep, that'll do for now. But I'll probably, yeah, raise it up a bit more so that this top bit's sort of in line with the radiator there. Well, I'll figure out where it all needs to go when I actually do rigid tubing, because that's what's really going to make the difference anyway for the alignment. So yeah, you've got a few options in terms of actually lining it up. So I decided to do a couple of the glass runs anyway, just because it looks nice and it's very difficult to show on camera. But just a trick for actually doing this is actually just to work the tool back and forward, so you don't end up just putting like a thread pattern in it, and you actually end up with one consistent groove. And then once you've got it, you'll have, this is not the easiest thing, but okay, it may not focus on. So there we go. And then you just gonna snap it off just like that. And what we can do to actually polish up these ends is just use any kind of hot flame. So if you got map gas, or even just a jet lighter can be hot enough sometimes, some stove, just anything that's going to get it hot enough to actually sort of start to kind of melt it. And I'll get that done and sort of show you what that looks like. I'll try and get it before here. It's just not easy to get it to focus on glass. It wants to focus on. There we go. You've got to do that trick with the hand. Yeah, I'm learning things. But yeah, you see how it's a bit rough, and you know, they could potentially cut our O-rings. So I will see if it fits properly first, and I cut it in the right spot, because it wasn't easy to actually get a measurement in there. So yeah, I'll do that before I commit to polishing it. So I'll show off another little feature I decided on here, and that is to use these telescoping fittings here. And that's just going to allow us to get this perfectly level and straight for the effect, you know. If you're going to have like all straight runs and 90s, you know, you can't have things looking lopsided, or it just looks kind of bad, I guess. And it's just easy. I mean, it's not like you don't need these to do it, obviously. Well, I don't have a hot enough torch to really bend it at the moment, so I may revisit that, but for now, this is just a way of getting it perfect by just using fittings. And you see up there we've got a bit of a, you know, an assortment there to get that working. Good thing I've got quite the variety of fittings actually to make that all work. But yeah, obviously bending glass isn't the easiest to be precise with either. It's not, you know, like bending PETG or something. You can't really put it in a jig. Well, as far as I know anyway, the only way I know to do it is you would heat up, like say you want it bent there, you would heat up along here and then just gradually apply pressure with your hands and that would bend it. And it does work, but you know, getting a nice precise bend and precise lengths can be kind of difficult. And so I might revisit that in the future, where if I, you know, get a few more pieces of glass and just have a heap of practice runs and maybe get good with it. Because this glass does look, oh, as you can see, I don't know, it's hard to really see in the picture, but it looks a lot better, honestly. I like this over your acrylic or PETG tubing any day. Keep in mind with these telescoping fittings, using them, you know, when a gravity's going to assist in it pulling down, 'cause it's just two O-rings in there holding it down. You know, you may have to, well, you may find that it could potentially actually pull out. Like, it's not easy to do, but, you know, just something to be careful of. But what I do like these for actually is just finding the exact measurement there, so you can mess around with it, and then when you've got it set, then you can actually just order the exact size fitting that you need. So it's handy to have a few of these laying around, and if you're using them like coming out like on this way or whatever, then they're completely fine. You're not going to have an issue. Oh, well, that's where I'm up to now. You see, I haven't got anything actually tightened on yet, and just making the runs happen. And that looks, honestly, that looks nice and neat like that. I like that. And yeah, for now I'm just gonna, well, I'm not gonna use this. I'm gonna put some different tubing. This stuff's just so manky. But I think, yeah, I'm just gonna leave this as the glass. So now I've actually got that 480 plumbed up. And yeah, so when you use this, I already kind of knew this was gonna happen because it was intended for you to use a to use a 360mm radiator. And so normally these will be you know, uncovered, but I've got this extra one here. You could probably drill out the case and shove this whole thing over a bit so you can use these again, but I just intended just to plumb these together basically, so that's not a problem. So basically we're going to come out of the CPU into here, which is going to take it to here, which is going to come along here into to the end over here, and then out here, along here, into there, and then when I plumb out of there and down into the return here. Sorry, crap camera work, I know, but that's basically how that's going to work. So you can use this with a 480 in the front, you just can't plumb it the way that Bykski intended you to. This is where I'm at with it. I got these two runs here looking good. Unfortunately, I can't actually raise this enough to make this completely even, so I'm probably just going to run like an offset fitting here to drop this side down a little bit, and then play with this on this side to get that bit level. Not the end of the world, I'll just leave it like that for now. Got that there because I haven't got a GPU yet, and I got this here because I ran out of fittings basically to be able to make that, because I did some more complex ones here and I didn't order extra fittings, I guess. So we'll see. I'll see what I got left over at the end, but that's fine for now, I guess. It's not the end of the world. Like, it'll work. That's what really matters at this point. As far as, you know, everything else goes, it'll get done. Oh, got it all together and up and running. Well, the pump's on anyway, nothing else is. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, I've still got to do this, and when we get a GPU, I've just bridged that together, because normally you would run that out to the intake side of the GPU and then from the outlet to here. And I've got to plumb the drain probably to there, and the fill port as well. I'm not sure. I do have a fill port here. If I'm going to run that or not, it's a bit of a pain to run, and to be honest with you, you know, filling through those isn't always the easiest. It's easier just to use, well, I'm just using this contraption here for now, and that works quite well. So yeah, I guess, oh yeah, this is what I do either way. I just got a 12 volt power supply here, and I'm just running that out to the pump. The wires back here are a mess and I haven't finished sleeving the cables, but yeah, we'll get on to that. I was making a episode about sleeving the wires, and I thought, you know, I'm just going to hold off on that and revisit that video another time, I guess. It was very difficult to film, so now we're in the new year, I guess I'll order a tripod to hold this camera up, and you know, hopefully that can make it easier so I can actually show how I do things, as opposed to being like, yeah, by the way, it's done now, like I kind of have here. But that's alright, because I'll show you how to do the glass tubing when I do these runs here, so that won't be a problem. But yeah, I think this computer's coming together. Most important, we actually have the 480 installed as well now, so that's going to help with our, you know, drop our coolant temps a bit. Unfortunately now I don't actually, I'm going to have to get a thermometer somewhere. I'm going to put it somewhere in line in the loop, because before I had one built into that reservoir and now I don't got one. And I don't know, I'd just like to know what my coolant temperatures are. And I don't think this motherboard has a temp sense probe either, so I can't hook one in either. But we'll figure it out. On another note as well, just a bit of a heads up, it does have this extra port here where I guess where you can install the GPU either way, depending on what height it's at, or you know, depending on what else you got going on in your loop. I just thought I might mention that it doesn't come with any plugs, so that wasn't a problem for me. I've got tons of random ones floating around the place. But if you do order this and you don't have any spare plugs laying around, yeah, you probably wanna. Sorry, the neighbors are playing music. Yeah, if you don't have any plugs laying around, then you're gonna have to order some while you're at it. They're not expensive, but it would be nice if it did come with them, to be honest with you. Seeing as for the most part, people are going to need at least that one, and probably something for the fill port as well, because you're not just going to leave that open, you know. Right, so I got it all, I guess, wired up and back together and filled up. Well, I guess I had that filled up in the last bit. I'm actually filming this the day after, because it sort of just ran out of time. I thought it doesn't really matter when I do this part. But as you see, that's what the RGB looks like. I'm not really the best with the camera settings at the moment. When it comes to actually filming outdoors and stuff, and even at night, I seem to be fine with getting the settings right, but this, like, trying to capture how this actually looks is, yeah, kind of difficult. But I will say the RGB on it is very bright. As you can see, like, it actually makes the fans look kind of duller. It doesn't look as noticeable in person, but it does compared to that. I think I need a bit of a brighter LED strip in there, because that one's kinda, it looks very washed out next to all of this, but that's okay. Obviously, yeah, I didn't have quite enough stuff to actually do that run there. That's alright, because I do need to fix up one other thing as well. I sort of knew that when I was putting it together. That bottom bit there needs to be a little bit longer, because it's actually not quite a straight line coming down. It's on a bit of an angle. Just small minor things. It's not the end of the world, obviously. It works. But, you know, when you do rigid tube builds and stuff, I've just noticed that you have to sometimes, you know, take it apart, put it back together. I mean, normally I wouldn't have filled it until it was all perfect, but, you know, I said daily computer, I use this one all the time, so kind of feel the loss of it when it's not around, I guess, you know. Like when you need to do something, you're like, shit, can't. Finishing off the cable sleeving. Also, yeah, you see I've got two different colours there, because I was testing which colour I actually liked. I'm probably going to get some cable combs and make that look all nice. And the 24 pin up there, not all of them are sleeved either. So, yeah, I'm fixing up the wiring behind the computer. That's honestly going to be a little bit challenging. It's just a lot of wires to manage. So I'm probably going to need to actually, like, extend and shorten a lot of wires to make it all just reach properly, so it can take different paths. But once again, not a big deal. As far as temperatures go, having the extra radiator in there, yeah, I do notice, like, at the top here before, like, I could feel it was quite hot coming out of there. And obviously, you know, from our temperatures from the previous episodes were very warm. So obviously, yeah, having the extra radiator in there, I noticed this is not as warm, but I do not have a thermometer, so that's something we're going to add. Probably when I do our water-cooled GPU, I'll have probably like one of those inline thermometers reading, you know, off the, there'll be a pipe that comes up and along and into that one there, and that will be probably the perfect spot to mount a thermometer, is just like there. Then it's not obstructing anything, you know, keeps the view of everything nice and clear, and, you know, sort of fills in that space where nothing's happening a bit. It's also like, you know, down there is kind of like the perfect spot to put a stat screen as well. Then I can actually put, if I wanted, I mean, I don't know, like I don't really need more drives because I use my server for storage anyway, obviously. But this one on here is just, it's just got like gameplay recordings and stuff like that on it. But, you know, it would be nice to actually maybe put like a stat screen there and hide. Because that's the one thing about this case, actually, I'm not a huge fan of, is yes, you can stack a lot of hard drives, because where this back plate, or this distro plate, sorry, normally is, you can stack those things there as well. And I do have heaps of those, because I've built in a lot of Phanteks cases. But I think, yeah, putting a stat screen or something there, and then maybe making some sort of a cover, because that's honestly not the greatest implementation for where the drive's going. It'd be nice if they were a bit more hidden, or if they, you know, maybe made like an extended shroud or something, I don't know. I like the case anyway, like, you know, there's not really too much to complain about. Like, if you haven't really seen, you know, the front looks like, you know, it's kind of like this. I'm going to have this orientated like this way. I just need different display cables because they don't reach. Because I changed my monitor setup here and mounted it all central like that. And I'm going to put my fourth one I've got here. I just need to make another thing for the arm to come up here. Because I always like I've always wanted to have a fourth monitor, and I've always liked the look of having, I guess, the 1/3 or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, back to this. When I do get the thermometer and stuff, see, I will make like a bit of a follow-up video on it and stuff. But as for the actual distro plate itself, I'm quite happy with it. But the only one thing about it, though, and this is not really a fault of the product itself, just inherent in its design, that it does sort of capture. You do get a fair bit of bubbles like that. They are working themselves free, so I suspect in a few more days, as you can see there, that water level has dropped. And I've been just gradually topping it up as the air bubbles work themselves free. The pump included with it is, like I said, I've worked with those pumps before. It is very powerful. It does the job quite well. Like, even on idle, it's pretty substantial. Like, as in 0% PWM signal. It's the flow is still quite substantial. So you don't really need to rev this thing up, and so adding a GPU, or if you had a more restrictive loop, which this isn't actually, I wouldn't call this free flowing as such. Like, I've got quite a fair few bends and stuff. And, you know, it pumps as fine, but that's also inherent in the fact that it is a DDC pump, and DDC pumps have great head pressure, or head lift. You see up there, I did manage to get, in the top left of that water block, there is always an air pocket like trapped there. I've managed to flush that one free. So the loop itself is free of air bubbles. It's just the reservoir that's not. Apart from there's a couple of, always the usual couple of little ones there, but they'll work themselves free too. But yeah, quite happy with the way this overhaul of my workstation sort of turned out. The only thing I'm really lacking now is GPU, because it did have the one that's now in my gaming PC in it. And yeah, so now we're down to this one, which now it's not really good for much these days, to be honest with you. Apart from putting picture on the screen. Yes, it helps sometimes with a bit of GPU acceleration, but it's just not. It just doesn't have the VRAM or anything for a lot of the stuff that I want to do with them. But that's okay, I'll find something.